Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Today I will be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And today we have the unlimited no holds barred, as in I wished in wow, I butchered that. I wished upon the 7 Dragon Balls with Lord Shenron and asked for unlimited Pokemon in Ultra League. Well, that was a that was a terrible anime analogy. Basically, this is no holds barred Ultra League, the top 5 teams for Open Ultra League. As you know, the reason why I was making that reference was because there are legendaries and there are mythicals that are allowed, and if you would like an extra large meal along with everything you've already been served, then you can use that as well in Open Ultra League. As you see here, as I always say, please consider contributing to pvpoke.com. So, of course, as I mentioned before, this is for Open Ultra League. As you see here, the Open Ultra League rankings are actually updated today for the top teams. And as we scroll down below here, these are the top teams used in Open Ultra League. Now, before I get started, what's pretty nuts is that literally 4 of the top 5 have just obscenely strong ratings. There has never been a time, I think, whenever I've analyzed Pokemon Go PvP, or I'm not a Pokemon Go, well, I mean like just data in general, especially pvpoke.com rankings for top performers, where all 5 of the top teams are not really 4 of the 5 top teams literally are above 590, which means these teams are just really freaking strong. Like, the highest rating I've ever achieved on pvpoke.com, I'd broken #1 at one point in Great League, but that was 588. So 588 to 600, and it's just nuts at how strong these teams are. But if you are lost, the top 4 teams on here are rather, even in like, I would say like the top 10, are extremely powerful teams that you can consider for Open Ultra League. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so for team number 5, this team ranks at 576, so it still has a really high rating. Like I said, like I mentioned, anything above, like, well, 575 is still a very powerful rating with a 1.6% usage. So a lot of people are using all of these teams. 1.5% is a lot, and it's very powerful. It features Talonflame Lead, a giant flaming chicken. Do you want to build a snowman in Obama Snow? Did you vote for it? Yes, I did, because it's actually on my team as well. And there's more than meets the eye in the final closer, as in REGISTEEL. You get it? More than meets the eye. If you guys watch Transformers, yes, they're making Transformers Go for... Niantic is making, like, Transformers Go. So I just wanted to put that reference in there because... Man. They want more money. They want more money. Anyways, this team is great across the board. Has great coverage, bulk, safety, and consistency. This team has better grades than I did in sophomore year of my own. Actually, no. I actually got straight A's in sophomore year of high school, so my grades were better than this team. But you know, this team's still really dang good. As you see here, Talonflame Lead is the #1 lead. It's excessively powerful in Ultra League, and it's actually featured in 2 of the top 5 teams, so it's really freaking good. But as you see here, this team is incredibly powerful against the overall meta. Only falls to Armored Mewtwo, which is kind of funny because you technically, like, Armored Mewtwo doesn't give you too much of a hard time in the 2-shield, because Talonflame you could 2-shield Flame Charge your way through Mewtwo as long as you make sure you don't get those extra confusions through your Incinerate. Victini, I don't foresee a Victini, like, I don't foresee it like an open. If you have an Open Ultra League Victini, you, sir or ma'am, I would really like to know how you spend your dust. Because you must be like Crazy Rich Asians. Well, I'm not stereotyping here, but that's a movie with, like, if you've ever seen that movie, there's a bunch of rich. This is like, that's like basically me. With like anybody with like millions of loads of dust and like resources. It's like Crazy Rich Asians, where you can just spend a whole boatload of money. You ask your contact, hey, can I go to the back door? And you're like, yes, you can come to the back door. You know why? Because I know you got millions of dust. I'm gonna make you spend it. That's why if you have an Open Ultra League Victini, that's pretty nuts. I'm pretty jelly because that's pretty cool, to be honest with you. And I don't think Victini and Open Ultra League is necessarily, like, that's a pretty cool pick. As you see here, that and Dartanitan Standard, those are the only 3 Pokemon that actually core break this entire team. And it's pretty interesting because you don't see a lot of them. And Talonflame does 2-shield its way through a lot of these matchups, with the exception of Melmetal. I think Melmetal is the thing that gives you the hardest of time with this team, because It wins comfortably into 2 shield. It can also rock slide or bomb snow to death, and superpower against Registeel hurts a lot. You're gonna have to finesse the matchups a lot if you see a Melmetal lead. So I'm assuming this team uses Talonflame to break both shields and then tries to close out the match, or you just sack Talonflame altogether. But again, if you lose the lead with Talonflame, it's very rough because this team doesn't really have a true safe switch in my opinion. So you're gonna kind of just like have to sacrifice Talonflame, or try to catch a move on a Bomb Snow or Registeel, or if you're trying to beat a Steel type, you have to close out Melmetal by focus blasting it with Registeel, or somehow hitting it with a Flame Charge that's boosted, because one Flame Charge actually doesn't kill Melmetal at full HP. You need it at about half HP, then you could probably kill it with a Flame Charge. Alright, team number 4 as we start going insane, because all these teams are above 590, which means 590 is a ridiculously high rating. To put in perspective, the highest rating I've ever achieved was 588. So, dang. Like, these teams are mad good. And by mad good, this team number 4 features at 592, which is incredibly powerful, and it features Hyper Beam Obstagoon. So, whoever is using this team, you can beam through shields with Hyper Beam and take the matchup. That's why I love Hyper Beam Obstagoon. Plus, you get Stab, which is same type attack bonus. So, if you have the same typing or using the same move of the same type your Pokemon has, then you get something called same type attack bonus, which is why you have Obstagoon with Hyper Beam. And I do approve of it. It does allow you to hit through shields. If you hit through shields, you do heavy damage. And even if they do shield it, like, you're still going to be in the 2-to-1s. And this team features Serperior and Talonflame in the back. So I think the reason why there is Obstagoon with Hyper Beam is essentially you're going to go for the big nuke move in Obstagoon unless you see a Charmer lead. If you see a Charmer lead, I'm assuming you will safe switch into Serperior. That looks to be your safe switch. Or your safe switch is actually Talonflame. You'll safe switch into Talonflame, break both of your opponent's shields, and then you'll try to sweep with Serperior and Obstagoon. Which is why Serperior is on here. So, basically the way this team operates, at least the way I see it, is that you're going to, if you see a Charmer lead, you're going to switch into Talonflame to bait out Swampert. You're going to break both shields with Talonflame, and then you will farm down said Swampert with Serperior. Because most Swamperts in Open Ultra League aren't actually carrying Sludge Wave. They're all usually carrying Earthquake, which is actually the proper move. So if they are, you can farm it down with Serperior, and with Leaf Tornado and Frenzy Plant, you can possibly take the match. Leaf Tornado does debuff like Octazooka, so it's minus 50 for attack, so that's why Serperior is mad good, but also Serperior is an XL, so it's very expensive. So Serperior XL is level 50. However, with Obstagoon with Hyper Beam, you could possibly wipe out the Charmer by hitting it with a beam. Hashtag get beamed, hashtag get annihilated, and yeah. Just like the regular main series game, after you die, they take your money. In this case, Obstagoon just rocks your world, and literally, it will rock you. Well, is it dun 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 dun? There you go. If you know what I'm talking about, you're cool. You're very cool. Anyways, as you see here, this team has C's across the board, so this is kind of unique because a team with a ridiculously high rating, yet has only C. Like, this is literally legitimately, in my 2 years of doing analysis, I've never seen a team that has C's across the board. So the fact that it's this powerful with like C's across the board, I think that's just hilarious because, like I mentioned, like, this team is a little fancy. I like it a lot. You're gonna get a boost beam through shields, or Serperior's gonna debuff you, or you use Talonflame in a very, very sneaky way. And I like it. But as you see here, this team is incredibly powerful, does well against a lot of the meta. Talonflame can be one of your issues though, because if you see Obstagoon, yes, you lose against Talonflame, but if you beam down Talonflame, you can actually take the matchup, which is freaking hilarious. And like I mentioned here, all 3 of these Pokemon are capable of beating Swampert, especially Serperior with that farm down play I mentioned. Now, the interesting thing about this team is that this team actually doesn't really have any hard holes. As you see here, you won't see a lot of Lugias in Open Ultra League. You also won't see a lot of Dragaggles. But literally, this team is weird. But if you look at it, it's actually genius. So whoever invented this team, you sir or ma'am, are a genius. You're like Dexter. You may not have a crazy lab where you have a bunch of chemicals and a giant, like, $1 million lab where you can do whatever you want. I wish I had that. I would have like 1,000 computers, and then I would say, like, give me your ELO. That's exactly what I would say. If you also know that reference, you're very cool. Anyways, as you see here, as you go down, this says a 697 rating, but like I mentioned before, this team doesn't have a lot of holes. Like, almost no holes. Literally. Like, it's mind-blowing for Open Ultra League just how powerful this team is. It's nuts, because a lot of your weaknesses, other than Melmetal, you won't see, but you can technically, like, Night Slash your way through Melmetal. You double shield, they're not gonna... One superpower, I think that you could survive the third superpower, but the first two are definitely going to do heavy damage. So try to boost if you do get Melmetal, but other than that, that's probably the only thing that you really have to watch out for this team. REGISTEEL isn't much of a threat because you can wipe it out with Talonflame plus Obstagoon. Again, if you boost, that counter damage really does add up though. Alright, team number 3! We have, team number 3 is at 593, so it's still, like, anything over 590, like I keep drooling about, is insanely ridiculous. Here you got Goro, you got the mighty Iceberg, and then you have Pancakes. So do you like pancakes? Yes, I like pancakes. Do you like waffles? I like waffles. Both are mad good, especially, you know, chicken waffles. Chicken waffles are pretty good. Actually, this is a good team. I'm gonna call this team Chicken and Waffles because you got Arctic. Well, actually, no. Actually, this is the only team with Galarian, Stunfisk, and Articuno in top 5. So I will call this Chicken and Waffles with Goro, or with like, let's see, who else has multiple arms in? Who has multiple arms in? I don't know. Anyways, on to the analysis. As you see here, this team is incredibly safe. This does feature G-Fisk as your save switch. Articuno is your closer. Machamp as your lead. Machamp, this team is pretty safe against Talonflame because if you get Talonflame on Machamp, Rock Slide will KO it, and Galarian Stunfisk has Rock Slide too. So the thing, this team is very, very powerful, and as you see here, it doesn't have a lot of bulk simply because of Machamp. Machamp isn't very bulky, so it compromises the bulk of any team it's in. However, it does have great coverage, great consistency, and like I said, incredibly safe because of Galarian Stunfisk. Your biggest problem is probably going to be Swampert. You're going to have to be really fancy with Swampert because you technically beat in the 2-shield, but if you lose one turn, you basically die. So, you got to be very careful against Swampert. However, if you look at the rest of this team, as you see here, it's actually very interesting. This team has very little holes. Your biggest weaknesses is in Blastoise, Hitmontop, and the poor man's version of Love Disc for some odd reason, Alomomola. I actually said that right for the first time. I'm so proud of myself because I can't say, I can't, I thought, I forgot one of my commenters. I love y'all. Thank you for correcting me on this. I say Dragaggle, but it's actually Dragalge, algae from the sea, like Dragalge. So I've been saying it wrong the entire time. Please correct me if I'm saying any Pokemon name wrong. I could probably get Generation 1 through 5 yet, but after that, I will totally fail. I promise you. So it's totally fine. I take no offense to it. As you see here, this team has a pretty low threat score. There's not really, it's pretty neutral. The reason why it's so powerful, this team, with the previous team, there's not a lot of holes. You have play against a lot of things you can choose to sacrifice, and it's just because of Galarian Stunfisk. Galarian Stunfisk is an incredibly powerful save switch. It does have a lot of play against a lot of things, except for, like I said, Swampert's probably the most difficult one. So against Swampert, my guess is you're gonna try to win the lead against Swampert with Machamp, because like I said, if some fast moves go through, you technically lose the matchup with Swampert just because it gets the Hydro Cannon faster. So keep that in mind against Swampert. Other than that, Machamp pretty much runs through everything through hell and high water. When you got 4 arms, when you got 4 arms, it's not One Punch Man, it's 4 Punch Man. And 4 Punch Man will destroy you. That's why it's literally... it's one of the most powerful leads, and it's actually in the #1 team as well. Anyways, this team is incredibly powerful. If you have it, I do recommend it. The only gripe I have about it is that Galarian Stunfisk is it's hard to get pancakes, okay? Maybe in your local area, there are plenty of pancake shops. You got Cracker Barrel, you got IHOP, you got Denny's, but unfortunately, actually, I have all those around me. If you don't have them, I'm so sorry. Yeah, but I promise you, if we ever meet at an event, we can go get pancakes. I promise. I'll treat you to pancakes. We will get pancakes. And team number 2 at a 596 rating. Sadly, it's not 69, so this isn't the greatest team of all time. But it's number 2. Still as effective, in my opinion, as the other 4 teams on this list. But if you guessed it, this is actually the team I'm using. And at one point, it was this rating's actually, it's at a 596 rating. It's actually better than it was before. So before, it was rated as the #1 team, I believe, in Season 6 somewhere when Talonflame first released. And then on the PPoke.com data, then it transferred to being the #2 team. So I said in my top teams, this is one of the top teams, and I've been using it, and lo and behold, I predicted, this is the first time I've actually predicted one of the top teams. #2 for this one, and #1 for Ultra Premier, because both of my top team videos actually predicted both top teams for the, yeah. I'm good at what I do, man. I still got it. Anyways, as I mentioned before, you have Trickin', you have Snowman, and you have the Fox. The Fox is here The fox is like Robin. Well, technically well, you know, I don't know if I like that analogy. You can't even technically, it's kind of like, you know, I'm not gonna say the company is like Lion King, you know what I mean? You know, they're not, well, hyena is not like a fox. Anyways, let's just get started. Anyways, as you see here, this team has great coverage across the board. I'm not gonna go too deep into it because I already went over. If you've been watching my videos, or like my videos from before, this team is incredibly powerful. If you watch my 10 video, if you watched it lately, like I've already showcased this team on live battles. It's insanely powerful. Does really well. I liked it a lot just because, yes, it's triple XL, but there's a lot of things you can do with this team. I think I went negative today. I lost like 30 points, but other than that, I think I went from like 2,000 something to like 2,300 just by using this team. But statistically, it's incredibly powerful, and I'm not surprised. As you see here, this team is incredibly powerful, with the only big thing being, like, the only big thing you see on this list that really hurts you is definitely Melmetal. Melmetal, Gyarados can also give you a hard time, but if you watch my videos, like I said, my live battles, I gave you an option of how to play against play against Gyarados, because you can still play out of Melmetal. It's just a little rough because you have to do a whole lot of fanciness to take out Melmetal. Your best bet is to have Melmetal on Umbreon, take out Melmetal with a bunch of foul plays. Umbreon can survive a superpower or two. And Talonflame, if you can put in the no-shield scenario, Talonflame will wipe out more than half of Melmetal's health. So there's a lot of fancy in that too, but there are ways you can win. I've also caught Rock Slides on Umbreon. Umbreon is your safe switch for this team. The way you play this team out is that you either sack Talonflame, break shields, or you win the matchup with Talonflame. And then after that, you get even shield scenarios, just line everything up properly. Abomasnow and Umbreon beat a ton of combinations outside of things like Obstagoon. You can still beat Obstagoon, but you have to have a lot mad energy, or just like the fighter in back is probably your worst nightmare. Like I said, you can still beat Obstagoon. It could be a really rough, but this team has done really well for me so far in Open Ultra League, and it will serve, I can confirm it will serve you well, like I predicted it would when I did my top teams analysis for Open Ultra League in Season 8. Alright, one more thing, and it's actually the #1 team, and if you know that reference, it's actually from Jack Cham Adventures. Uncle says one more thing a lot to Jackie a lot whenever he forgets something, or like he's like, no, don't leave, you forgot, like, don't leave, I have one more thing for you. Oh man, I love that show, I love that show. If you know Jack Cham Adventures, I definitely recommend watch it, but yeah, this feeds the #1 team at a 600 rating. This is the first team I've ever seen to break 600, so whoever are actually, this has a 1.9% usage, so a lot of people are using this team, and it's really good. Like I said, a 600 rating, this is the highest I've ever seen. Anything past 580 is ridiculous. 600 is insane. But it's not really that unique because 1.9% are using this team, and it's incredibly powerful. A 600 rating basically means you'll win most of your games as long as you play it well or you know the strats. In this case right here, you have Machamp, Galarian, Stunfisk, Safe Switch, so it does feature GURL, Pancakes, and a Fox, and it has Umbreon to close out. G-Fist Safe Switch is very interesting, does really well, and it's just so powerful, but this team is nuts. A for bulk, A for safety, so Galarian, Stunfisk, and Umbreon are bulky enough to make up for Machamp's lack of a big booty. But we all know Machamp does a bunch of squats. I mean, if you were at the gym and you were at the racks, you know Machamp had 1 tons easy. You know he had 420 kilograms of freaking plates on that squat bar, and he or she were squatting a massive amount of weight. Not a good coverage, but the rating speaks for itself, and great consistency. As here, this team does incredibly well outside of what might beat Machamp, which is basically Cresselia and Swampert. But you can possibly beat Swampert, etc. Giratina Altered can possibly give you a hard time as well. Is this a payback Machamp? No, it's a Rock Slide Machamp. Well, that makes sense because you could straight Rock Slide against Talonflame. But again, Giratina and Cresselia are probably the big three, which is Gira, Cress, and Swampert, can be your worst nightmare, so it's a little rough. But as you see here, this team, other than the ones I mentioned, there's not a lot of core breakers that beat this team. The way I look at core breakers is that this isn't the true 2-shield scenario because these are taken from the 0s and 1s, so you have to run a matrix on the 2-shield in order to see your results. But anyways, you don't see a lot of these Pokemon in the league at all in Open Ultra League, with the exception of Swampert, which is probably going to be your worst nightmare, like I mentioned before. Other Machamps can also give you a hard time just by the virtue of CMP. Generally, the Machamp that wins CMP will win the matchup, just because you're going to straight cross chop. So again, it would behoove you to have a high attack Machamp, or at least one with some attack. Like, my Machamp in Open Ultra League does have, like, 5 attack just so that it would CMP. But it's a rank 3... It's a rank 3 Machamp with, like, 4 attack or something like that. But it's incredibly powerful. Like I said, it would... Just in case you do get the mirror match, you do win CMP. But you do see a lot of Obstagoon leads happening nowadays. A lot of Obstagoon leads. Charmers can also give you a thing just because of Swampert. I mean, just... Yeah, Charmers can also give you an issue. But the thing with Charmers is that if you Safe Switch, and you could Safe... Well, G-Fisk is your Safe Switch. But Umbreon, if you time your moves right, you can possibly take back Switch against a Charmer. But it has to be, like, perfect. You can't let any Charms through, and Umbreon can get the 3 Last Resorts. So it's a very tricky play, but you possibly can make it happen. But again, this team overall, really good. Not a lot of things that core break it. Like I said, outside of Swampert, and probably Charmers are probably going to give you the hardest time. Other than that, this team is insanely powerful. Don't let the threat score fool you. A 600 rating is ridiculous. And 1.9% of the training player base was actually using this team. So there's a lot of players using this team. Because so many players were using it, well, it still had a ton of success. Yes, 1.9% is a lot of data, but to break a 600 score is just nuts. So whoever made this, you, sir/ma'am, are an MVP of team building, because all they literally had to do was replace the big space duck of Jensen's, which is Cresselia, and all you did was literally just replace it with Stunfisk. So again, very powerful team, 600, the most powerful team. But even if you're using any of the other teams, like 590 to 600 is still a ridiculous rating. Even 570 is a great rating. They will get you positive W's if you practice them and play them well in Open Ultra League. And that's GG's. I hope you guys enjoyed the battles. Actually, there weren't any battles. I'll be doing a live battle shoutcast soon, though. I did get a request. I plan on fulfilling that request. But anyways, I did hope you enjoyed the top 5 teams in Open Ultra League. I wish Pancakes weren't as prevalent. You know, Maple Pancake is pretty good. Actually, I don't know. No, it's more accurate. It's more like a bear trap, or the Chinela, the Chancla, you know, it's like a slipper, okay? But yes, it's a burnt pancake, or to be more accurate. But anyways, pancakes are pretty dang good, and pancake actually was very prevalent. I predicted it would be prevalent, but not as prevalent as I thought. And again, the Talonflame, Umbreon, and Abomasnow XL team is still insanely powerful. So a lot of the top teams, well, some of the top teams, it looks like Cresselia took a huge hit off the top teams, because from number 1 through, like, I mean, it's kind of weird, but I understand, just because not a lot of people do have a ton of XL just sitting around. But Cresselia, for, like, the old number 1 team, which was Machamp, Cresselia, and Umbreon, actually fell to 540. So that's not necessarily a bad rating, but, like, it just shows how Galarian Stunfisk really makes a huge impact in Open Ultra League as an XL. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully these teams do help you out if you do have them and are using them. I was wrong about Articuno's effectiveness. Apparently, when you put chicken and waffles together, as in like Galarian Stunfisk and Articuno together, they actually do pretty well. So I was proven wrong by that fact, because Articuno is being used a lot in the top teams, and I think it's a lot because of Swampert and Giratina, because Articuno still beats Swampert. Giratina does give Togekiss a hard time. With Hurricane, you can one-shot Abomasnows, and like I said, that Icy Wind debuff does help out in a lot of scenarios. Again, these are the top teams for Open Ultra League. Again, they're extremely powerful, especially the top 5. So if you do have these Pokemon, I would give them the shot, and they'll get you some dubs. Like, for sure, they'll get you some dubs. Especially the second team. I've been using that team, and it'll get you some dubs. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And now, for the spiel that I always do for every video, you guys are already subscribed. You already know what's coming up, because I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate you. For those of you that are already subscribed, love y'all. Thank you for all the support. I am trying to get to 2 subs though. So if you are not subscribed, if you put your mouse to the top bottom right, there's a little box that says subscribe. You see it floating right there? All you have to do, by the time you are done listening to the sound of my voice, you can put your mouse over it and just click on that little box. It will pop up. Like, the subscription box will easily pop up, and then you can click subscribe. It's totally free, helps out the channel. Like I said, I'm almost at 2K subs, and I really do appreciate the subscription. Again, it's totally free, super helps out the channel, and I really do appreciate it. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing well in your battles. Again, I hope this information is helping you out. I managed to successfully predict 2 teams on the top teams, while predicting number 2 and number 1 is pretty dang good in my opinion. So I'm a pretty good analyst, and I hope, like I said, I hope this data really does help you out. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.